All right, so we're going to pick up kind of right where we left off on Friday. Friday, you were given either a graph where you could find the slope and the intercept, so you can just put it right in slope-intercept, or I gave you a point and a slope, which then we could put in point-slope form, and then we were able to switch that to slope-intercept. So kind of the same idea today, except today I'm going to be giving you 2 points. We'll go from there. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, just let me see it. All right, so we're going to continue using the 3 formulas that we already know. So we have our slope formula, we have point slope form, and slope intercept form. Do you have to memorize any of these? No. Okay, don't feel like you have to. I mean, you probably will by the time you get on using them. But on every quiz, test, whatever, I will go ahead and give you the formulas at the top, so you don't have to memorize them. You just need to know how to use them. Sorry, I'm trying to change attendance for Luke. There we go. All right, so to write an equation of a line from 2 points. So on Friday, we had a point and a slope we kind of plugged in. Today, we're going to have 2 points. So first, you're going to find the slope. Right? If I have 2 points, I have a slope formula. I can use those together. I can find the slope. Then you're going to plug that slope and one of your points in, and then it's just like what we did on Friday. And we'll solve that for y. So write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the given points. Now, even though the directions want it in slope-intercept form, does that mean I can always start in that form? No. So really, when I see slope-intercept form, my brain just goes, oh, I need to make this as y equals when I'm done, right? I want to solve for y when I'm finished with it. But we will start with knowing that this is x1, y1, right? x2, y2. And I need to find the slope first. So your slope formula was the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, don't have to memorize the formula, just need to know how to use them. So if I'm finding my slope, all right, so finding our slope, we have our formula, we're just plugging stuff in. So y2 is 7 minus y1, which is negative 3. What's going to happen to that? Change that to a plus. And then my x2 is negative 3 minus x1, which is 2. Now, some of us still really struggle with finding slope. Grading that last test, some of us still missed every single one of these. All right, so on the top, 7 plus 3 is 10. On the bottom, negative 3 minus 2, negative 5. And 10 over negative 5 is just negative 2. So that's your slope. Okay, if you left it negative 2 over 1, that's fine, but just simplify it as negative 2. All right, once you have your slope, now it's just like what we did on Friday. I have a point, I have 2 to choose from, and I have a slope. It does not matter which one you use, guys. Which one do you want, the first one or second one? First one, all right. We're going to go with this one. It doesn't matter, though. You can use whichever one you want. So we're going to plug that into our formula. Oops, there we go. Plugging that into point-slope form. Right, because I have a point, I have a slope, you go to point-slope form. So y minus, the y value, we chose this point, was negative 3, so that'll make that plus 3. My slope, I found that to be negative 2. And then x minus, my x value was 2. All right, so we used our 2 points, we found the slope. And then you can use either one you want, doesn't matter. We chose the first one. Plug that in, and then what do I do from here? Let's distribute. So y plus 3 equals negative 2x. Be careful of your signs here. Plus 4. And then to get y by itself, subtract 3. Good. So y equals negative 2x plus 1. So we did end up in slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b. We ended up there. But just because the directions say that's what they want, that does not mean that's where we start. Okay, you got to look and see what you have. Now, what would have happened had I chose the other point? Would I have gotten the same answer? You don't have to write this down, but just so we can kind of see what happens. So had I used this point, y minus 7 equals my slope, and then x minus -3, we made that plus 3. We would have distributed. So y minus 7 equals -2x minus 6. You would have added 7. So y equals -2x plus 1. It's the same thing. It looks very different as you're going through it, but the final answer, it's the same thing. Why? They're on the same line. They're on the same line. Right? So those 2 points, I found the slope between them, and that's what I'm using. So if I'm finding the slope between these 2 points, and I'm writing the equation of the line, it's obviously going to go through both points. So it's going to have the same equation. It goes through both of them. All right, let's try another one. So again, write an equation in slope-intercept form. That just means your final answer should be y equals. That's all that means. That passes through the given points. So anytime I see 2 points, what's the only thing I can do with 2 points? I can what? I can, well, besides plot them. I can find the slope. The only thing I can do with these is find the slope. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's find our slope. So y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is -2. So I'll make that plus 2. x2 is 2, minus my x1, which is -1. So it changes that to plus 1. So on the top, 6 plus 2, 8/3. So that's my slope. 8/3 is not pretty, but that's okay. It's just a fraction. All right, then we got to use that, plug that into, we now have a point, we have 2 of them, and a slope, so we go to point-slope form. So y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. Which point would you like to use? Do 6. That's a good choice. Why is that a good choice? They're both positive. I don't have to worry about changing signs, messing things up like we always have a tendency to do, right? All right, so plugging them in. So we have y minus, my y value is 6. My slope was 8/3. X minus my x value is 2. All right, from here, we'll distribute. So y minus 6, we get 8/3 x minus, what is 8/3 times 2? Times 2. Guys, you have calculators. If you don't know it, do it in your calculator. 16/3? Sure? It is. It's 16/3, or what is that as a mixed number? Don't we know? You should know. That's a 5 1/3. Guys, I don't care. If you go 16/3, 5 1/3, it does not matter to me. Just don't write 5.3 repeating, because that's not perfect. All right, and then to finish, we add 6. So we get 8/3 x, -16/3 plus 6. That's going to be 11 1/3. That's the easiest way to write that one. Again, guys, with the fractions at this point in your math career, grab a calculator, type it in, please. Don't be lazy, just type it in. All right, so will you get answers that are ugly? Yeah, it happens, okay? And if you get ugly answers, that's all right, just roll with it. Were we confused? You said you wanted that one. I asked which point. You were the one that told me. Let's go with that one. They're both y's. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You can use either one, because if I use that first one, will I get the same answer? Yeah, I will. By the time you solve that thing for y, it's going to be the exact same thing, so it really does not matter. All right, same directions. All I need to look at is I have 2 points. It's the only thing I can find with 2 points. That's the slope. Can you keep the little watermelon? What? I make these, the notes. Yeah, I make them. I get bored, so, whatever, floats my boat, what kind of goes on there. All right, so find our slope first. So excellent. What? I'm not a cat fan, so probably never. I'm a dog person. Sure. All right, so 2 points. Guys, the only thing you can do with 2 points is we can find the slope. So we start there. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So on the top, 2 minus 4, negative 2, 3 minus 0. So my slope is negative 2/3. Totally fine, totally normal for slope to be a fraction. All right, and then we have a point and a slope, so we go to point-slope form. Which point would you like to use? 2. That's not a point, that's a number. The second one, okay. Again, doesn't matter. So he wants to use the second one. So we have y minus, my y value is 2, equals my slope, negative 2/3, times x minus, my x value is 3. All right, and then we distribute. So y minus 2, we get negative 2/3 x. Negative 2/3 times negative 3. Positive 2. We have 2 negatives that we're multiplying. Makes that positive 2. And then to get y by itself, we add 2. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. So if I were to graph that line, first let's kind of talk, how would you graph it? Where would your starting point be? Up 4, down 4, left, right? Up 4. I got a couple of you still don't know where the starting point goes. So you'd start up 4, and then where would I go? Down 2, over 3. 3 to the right, right? If I go down 2, I go 3 to the right, right? So I make my line. Where is that line going to go through? What 2 points do I know that line will go through? Yeah, those 2 points that I started with. Because I'm finding a line, an equation, that goes through those 2 points. That was what it asked me to do. So if you would graph this, it would go through 0, 4, and it would go through 3, 2. Do you see how this links to what we did on Friday? Yes? No? Oh. Friday, I gave you the slope, and I gave you 1 point. I said, what's the equation? So you literally started here, plugged it in, and did this. Today, the only difference is I gave you 2 points. So you had to find the slope first, pick which one you wanted, and then do the same process. So why don't you guys try the next one on your own. So first thing we need to do, let's find our slope. Keep in mind, guys, your slope is a fraction, so we need to write it as a fraction. So we'll do our y, which is negative 2, minus our other y, negative 2, which makes that plus. Your x's, 3, minus your other x, so it makes that plus 1. So we get 0 over 4, which is 0. Your slope is 0. Do not tell me that is undefined. When is it undefined? 0's on the bottom is undefined. 0 on the top is fine. It's just 0. Do you want to use the first point or the second point? Second point, okay. So y minus, my y is negative 2, so it'd be plus 2. my slope is 0, and then x minus my x value is 3. So y plus 2, when I distribute this, I get 0. It's just 0. And then subtract 2. So y equals negative 2. Stop and think for a minute. That should not surprise you. We know that a horizontal line has a slope of 0. Remember, if it's horizontal or vertical, one of your variables should be missing. 0 divided by 4 is 0. 0. Grab a calculator and type it in. I don't know how I can tell you guys that more times. If you don't know and you hate fractions, type it in. Okay? Just y equals negative 2. That's going to be a horizontal line that goes right through there. Right? Slope of 0 means horizontal. The word horizontal has zeros in the spelling of it, right? Horizontal line. All right, number 5. Sorry, you have to use your margins. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Just write in the margins. Sorry. All right. Let's go through this one again, guys. Let's go through it together. So we have 2 points. x1, y1, x2, y2. The only thing you can do with 2 points is find the slope. So your slope formula is y2, negative 3, minus y1, which is negative 6, so makes that plus 6, over 5 minus 5. Uh-oh. I get 3 over 0, which means my slope is undefined. We're not done. There is an equation that goes through these. What's the equation? This is where you guys have got to stop and think. If your slope is undefined, what type of line is that? Is it horizontal or vertical? It's vertical. It's this way. An equation that is this way is that y equals or x equals? That's x equals. What does x equal? What does x equal? Look at your points. What does x equal? What does x equal? 5. X equals 5. That's your line. Okay, so when you go through and you find your slope, okay, look back at the last one. When my slope was 0, your equation was y equals negative 2. Look at your y values on this problem. Do you see them? Yeah, look. So guys, make a note to yourself. If both y values are the same, then y equals whatever that number is. That's your equation. If both x values are the same, then x equals that number. Those are your equations. On a test, if you recognize, hey, look, my y's are both the exact same. Now, if one's plus, one's minus, they're not the same. Okay, but if they are exactly the same, y equals whatever that number is. If I'm looking at two order pairs, look, the x's are exactly the same. X equals that number, I'm done. Those should be the easy ones. We should like those. Okay? So again, let's throw another one at you. If I gave you 2, 3, and 4, 3, what's the equation for that line? Y equals 3. Done. Finish. If I gave you negative 3, 4, and negative 3, negative 3, x equals negative 3. These are the same. If they're all the same, that's the exact same point. We can't do it. Okay? What if I gave you 1, 3 and negative 1, 4? Can I use that shortcut? No. They're both 1s. One's positive, one's negative. You'd have to find the slope and go through and do all of that stuff. Nope. Give me the points. That is the same point. You literally gave me 1 point. There's nothing I can do with that. Yeah. That's just 1 point. They'd have to be different. If they're exactly the same, I can't do anything with that. Okay? So, but if the x's are the same, it's just x equals whatever that number is. If the y's are the same, it's just y equals whatever that number is. And you don't have to show me any more work than that. Okay? Those should be the easy ones. All right. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line shown. All right. We did this last week, but last week I was able to look at the graph and I'm like, okay, I know where the y-intercept is. I know the slope. I just plugged it right into slope-intercept. What's the problem with this one? It's not a nice, pretty one. Yeah, my y-intercept, it's like almost 1, but not quite. I don't really know what it is. Do you have any nice points on here? Where's a nice point? Negative 3, 0, so right here. And you said 1, 1. Do you know the slope? The slope would be up 1 and over 4. Double check. Does it still hold true? Up 1 over 4? Yeah, it's still on there. So your slope is what? Is 1/4. I just wrote down a positive slope. Is your line a positive line? Because some of you have a tendency to write down one or the other and your line is backwards. So just double check, okay? So do I actually have to use the slope formula? No, I don't have to use the slope formula because I can just count it from the picture. Okay, so in order to write my equation, I either need a slope and an intercept, but I don't know the intercept because it's not pretty, or I need a point and a slope. So what point do I have? 1, 1. Could I have picked a different point? Yeah, I could have picked any point I wanted as long as it's on there. So now I have a point, I have a slope. Plug it in point slope form, right? Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. All right, so here we go. So y minus my y value, which is 1. My slope I found was 1/4. X minus the x is 1. The beautiful thing about that formula, as long as you have a point and a slope, it works. It doesn't matter which point you pick on the line. As long as it's on the line, that's all that matters. So we will distribute. So y minus 1 equals 1/4 x minus 1/4. And then just add 1. So y equals 1/4 x, good, plus 3/4. So you're telling me my y-intercept was at 3/4? Does that look good? I mean, it looks like it's about 3/4. Should you ever just look at the graph and be like, it looks about 3/4? No, because it could have been 2/3. Like, you know, I mean, it could have been 5/8. We don't know. Okay, so, but again, every time we're doing any of these equations, your brain should be like, okay, what do I have? Do I have a point? Do I have a slope? Do I have an intercept? You know, can I find the slope? Because those are the things we need in order to plug them into our equations. All right, number 7. Same directions all the way through all of this, guys. It's always write an equation in slope-intercept form. Just means when I finish, Katie, when I finish, my answer needs to be y equals and then everything else. Toby? Somebody smack Toby, please.
Oh, can I do it?
Sure. He's being nice. Toby. Good morning, sunshine. All right, so number 7. Do we have a nice intercept? Almost. Does almost count? Almost only counts in like what? Horseshoes and hand grenades?
That's what I just said. Hand grenades.
Yeah, if you're close. You do some damage. Doesn't have to be right on them. Horseshoes and hand grenades, this is math. We can't just be close. All right, so do we have a nice point somewhere? Where's a nice point? 2, negative 1, 4, 6, 1, 2, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Negative 1, 3, that's a little closer. I don't have to count as much. All right, so again, if we look from here, our slope would have been rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, run, 1, 2, 3. So a positive 4 over negative 3. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's on here. If I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm on my points. Okay, but always check a couple points just to make sure, right? Because he was like, yeah, it looks like a good intercept, but was it? Not quite. All right, so I'm able to find my slope. I didn't have to use the formula, which is glorious. All right, which point now? Because I can pick whatever point I want. 2, negative 1, which is fine. Again, you can pick any point you want. That's just the one I heard the loudest. All right, so let me plug it in. Y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1, and we go for it. So y minus, the y is negative 1, so it becomes plus 1. My slope I found was negative 4/3. Again, negative top or bottom does not matter. And then x minus my x value to the point we picked was 2. So we distribute negative 4/3 x. Negative 4/3 times negative 2. Good. That would be a positive 8/3, or what is 8/3? That's 2 2/3. Guys, let me stop you right now and ask. How many of you on your calculator have no idea how to switch that to a mixed number? Okay. All right, so on your calculator, I just want to make sure we're okay on these. So you right now should be sitting at a part where you have 8/3 in your calculator, right? Where we're at? So do me a favor, hit the math button. They're all math buttons. Oh, I say that. Hold on, let me make sure this one's going to actually switch it. Nope, that button didn't do it. Hold on. All right, but once you go ahead and distribute, we just need to get y by itself, so we subtract 1. So y equals negative 4/3 x. 8/3 minus 1, or 2 2/3 minus 1, is a positive 1 2/3. Or it'd be 5/3 if it switched it still for you. And guys, honestly, at this point, I don't care. If you leave it as 5/3, if you leave it 1 2/3, it does not matter to me. They all mean the same thing. Okay? Yep, last one's on your own. All right, guys, I think the biggest mistake we have right now is knowing how to name points. A lot of your errors came from not knowing how to name a point. So finding our nice point, I think a lot of you went ahead with this one right on the x-axis. When you're naming a point, which direction do you go first? The x, the left or right. Think about, I have to get on an elevator before I can go up and down. So you have to move left and right first. So that point is actually located at negative 2, and then it did not go up or down at all. Okay? I don't know. I got stuck. There you go. It looks like we have a nice point here. Where's that one? Positive 1, negative 1, positive 1, negative 1. What was funny to me is how many of you wrote down your 2 points and then used your slope formula to find it. I have a picture. Do I have to write it down? No, I have my picture. I can just count it. It's down 1 and over 3. Slope equals down 1 and over 3. Now, could you use your formula? Absolutely, you can. But if I have a picture, I'm going to be lazy and just count it. Okay? So which point did you guys want to go with? The one with the 0 or not with 0? Negative 2, 0. Good choice. So y minus, my y value is 0, equals my slope of negative 1/3. And then x minus would be negative 2, so plus 2. So when we distribute, first of all, what's y minus 0? So y equals, we have negative 1/3 x, and then negative 1/3 times 2 is negative 2/3. So guys, when you have the picture one, these are nice. Double check, does it make sense? Do you have a slope of negative 1/3 x, so down 1/3, yes. Your starting point, negative 2/3, does that look like it crosses at negative 2/3? Yeah, it makes sense. Now, if I went through this process and I get like negative 1/3 x plus 5, it should be a red flag. It's not up on 5. Okay, so look at your answer. Make sure it makes sense when you look at the graph. They should match. Okay? Questions on anything? Other than we need to work on naming points.